guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike. Today we were reviewing Smile with spoilers, so definitely don't check this out if you have not seen the movie yet. But I will say overall, just my deep review of this movie is that it's pretty damn good. And it has a lot of the awesome things that you want in a horror movie. But it's got this damning quality to it. Not damning, because it's still a great movie, because it wins you over by the end. But it just has a couple lulls in it, and it's also very, very simple. They just take too long on certain things, and if it was 20 minutes shorter, oh man, it would have just knocked it out of the fucking park. But that being said, that's really the absolute only issue I have with the movie, is that it just lulls sometimes. It lingers too long on certain shots, and you're just like, it's like getting on a roller coaster and going through a loop-de-loop, and you're like, that was an awesome loop-de-loop. And then you're talking about the loop-de-loop, and then 20 minutes have gone by, and you're like, what's next? We've just been going slowly, like a fucking escalator. And I hate escalators. They scare me. I don't know why. Rode one today. Did not enjoy it. People behind me are always like, what the fuck? I'm like, So in Smile, Dr. Rose Cotter is talking to a patient, and the patient's explaining to her all this fucked up shit that's happening to her, and she's just spazzing out like she's just either overacting or actually on meth. I'm kidding. Like, the acting was actually really good, but sometimes it was a little over the top. I'm like, stop screaming everything! Tells her all this stuff that she's seeing, and then she falls over in the chair when she sees the thing and breaks a flower pot or whatever, picks up a piece of glass. And while the doctor's looking at her, you saw this part in the previews as well, just starts to cut. What was surprising for me about this scene? Wild horses. I don't know what I'm doing. But when she starts to cut, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. What surprised me was that you expect them to cut away. They did not. It wasn't overly gory, but it was still pretty gnarly just to know that, like, the camera zooms in on her face and makes you sit there with it while she cuts her entire throat. And then when she dies, she's still smiling, which is fucked up, something we expected to see. And then even when the sheet goes over, the sheet turns into a bloody smile, which was a really cool thing. One of the main things I noticed about this movie was the cinematography was really good. Even though the camera shots lingered too long, I thought that the sets looked amazing. The color of the film looked amazing. When they were in the hospital, it just had this... There's that one shot where they zoom in on the 0 to 10 pain scale. And there's just always been something creepy about that anyway to me. But just the color of the wall, the basicness of it all, the way that the cinematography really and the lighting really just added to the whole mood of the film. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's yet another comparison to The Ring. The Ring kind of did the same thing. It was more of a gray, dark feeling, like you felt like you were just in London during a fucking rainy, sad day. And it just had that vibe to it. And this one did too. It was almost a clinical kind of, you felt like you're in this like psychologist office, or like that uncomfortable feel when you're in a hospital for the entire movie. They managed to grab that. It was a great job on their part doing that. It just felt disturbing a little bit all the way through. But yeah, I mean, one of the main problems with the film is also the Ring comparison. I mean, it's literally, the story's not great. I mean, the story is the story from The Ring. Literally, when she's talking to Kyle Gallner, who's in this, fucking shout out Kyle Gallner, man. Have yourself a year, sir. He was really good in this. Just played a pretty straightforward character, but he was basically the character from The Ring, the guy who gets it at the end with the TV. He was basically there to help her move the plot along, and also there was this just under the surface kind of romantical thing going on at the same time, but they never really honed in on it. I mean, it was almost the exact same. So many shots of driving. It felt just like The Ring, the story. But what I'm saying is, when they're in the car, she's like, how long did the victims last? He's like, I'm sitting here going 7 days, and he goes, none of them lasted longer than a week. I'm like, God damn it. You guys could have at least said 6 days specifically. Just something different than it actually adding up to 7 days. He did say, like, some of them didn't make it past 4, so it wasn't an exact 7-day thing, but come the fuck on, guys. But that doesn't bother me. We knew that. I'm not expecting the world's greatest story going into this movie. You just want a fun horror movie, and I thought Smile was that. Like, it was the perfect Friday night. You go to the theater, and there's a little bit extra there than your typical Conjuring spin-off Friday night horror flick. You know what I mean? Your popcorn horror, just a little bit extra. Smile had those Friday night popcorn isms to it, but it also had weight on the back end of it. It would go fucking there. There's some gnarly graphics and some mean shit that happens in the movie. It's not going to make it the scariest movie you've ever seen, but it's definitely going to make it one of the scarier versions of that Friday night popcorn flick that we're so used to seeing. I hope I'm making sense when I say Friday night popcorn flick. You know, the one that you go to and there's always like fucking high schoolers there yelling, acting like it's the scariest thing that they've ever seen, or just talking over the movie. But it's that one that gets like all the, you know, you got your hardcore horror people, and then you got your just like your common audience who's like, I'll go see a horror movie if I'm in the mood for it. And then those are the kind of movies that are like roller coaster rides. That's what I mean. And it's the best of that world plus the best of something gnarly, you know, which is pretty damn cool. I dug that vibe, the mix between the two of them. Hal Penn was good in this movie. I thought all the characters were really good. For a horror movie, there's nothing crazy going on there, but each character had their purpose. Boyfriend, who was A-Train in The Boys. I don't know what the deal is with horror movies, but so often this happens. The boyfriend is like the perfect, loving, sweet, oh my God, let me get the door for you, honey. Like, oh, you broke a glass, baby. Why don't we get you into bed and take care of that? It's so often in horror movies, these boyfriends, these husbands or whatever, are all like all-star, greatest husbands, boyfriends of all time when like something tiny happens. And then like as soon as like the second or third event happens, their true colors show and it's like, no, fuck you, crazy bitch, I am out. And this is probably the most clear-cut version of that you can find. Like he was fucking done. And you could tell from the first moment, he was like, she's like, I watched a patient kill herself in front of me today. And he's like, oh man, that's terrible. Let me hug you. Are you sure you're okay? No, I just fucking told you I watched someone fillet their own goddamn face, like Leatherface. And you could tell she's like, I'm okay, because if I'm not, you're not gonna fucking like me anymore. And I've seen relationships like that too, like people who like think they're just perfect for each other, but the messiest thing they've ever gone through is their purse, you know? The second like the shit hits the fan, they are fucking stabbing each other right in the back and running with their hair on fire. He was totally the perfect version of that. And one thing I thought that Smile did the first half of the movie pretty good was it was plausible, and this is going to tie into the whole mental health vibe of the whole movie, but it was possible through the first half of the movie that this all was really in her head. You know what I mean? And that culminates at one of the oh shit scenes when she's at the kid's birthday party and he's unwrapping it and you're thinking, oh, you know something's in there. Does she shit in it? Amber Heard? Does she shit in the box? But I just didn't expect this. This caught me unawares, totally. The kid opens the box and pulls it out and hits her dead fucking cat. That she literally wrapped her dead cat in a box and took it to her nephew's birthday party and gave it to him wrapped in front of all these people. And then and my mouth fucking hit the floor. All right. I was sitting there like, and honestly, I think right before that was the big lull in the movie where I was like, oh geez. And I'm like half paying attention. I'm paying attention, but I'm like, you know, it's losing me. And then all of a sudden this happens and I go, oh, fuck. Oh my God, that's a cat in a box. That's a dead cat. My mouth was on the fucking floor when this scene happened, and it drove me right back in because I was like, that is fucked up. You just put a dead cat in a box and gave it to a kid under the fucking tree. That's worse than when Arnold Schwarzenegger stole that little kid's Turbo Man doll from underneath the Christmas tree in Turbo Man? Jingle All the Way. But then she starts screaming. She's like, stop staring at me, motherfuckers. You know you see it, right? And then falls into the table. And it was just like, when she fell into the table, I was like, oh, shit, this is crazy. It just keeps getting wilder and wilder at this birthday party. And she cuts her shit up and she just starts screaming. And I was like, this is horror. You know what I mean? This is the moment where they go that little extra bit. And that's what we're fucking here for. And that's what makes Smile work at the end of the day, for sure. But that was a gnarly ass scene. And I like her boyfriend's like, did you kill our cat and put it in a kid's fucking birthday present? That I get. I probably, you know, I understand. But he was a dick about the whole thing. But that's how all that ties in. And I think what this movie does a good job too of is saying, like, hey, this is partly it's partly a soliloquy on anxiety too. I feel like now maybe that's just me putting in my own, you know, history, projecting it into a movie, and we all do that. But to me, especially at the end where the gobbledygook things like fucking, she's like, why are you doing this to my mind or whatever? I can't remember what she said. She's like, you know, why are you in my mind? And she's like, because the mind is so inviting. You know, I think a lot of this, especially at the beginning with the girl trying to explain to her, like, no, you don't understand. Like, literally doing the clap thing, like, you're not fucking hearing me. This shit is real. And the whole idea, the guy at the beginning, he was like, my wife's gonna die. My mom's gonna die. I'm gonna die. We're all gonna die. Like, just obsessed with death. And also everybody thinking something's wrong with them and nobody believing them. So much of this is, to me, saying something about, anxiety too, because that's what it is. It's all in the mind, right? And that's anxiety takes so many different forms. You either think that you're going to die, that you have whatever you hear, all the cancers, all the WebMDs, you have it all. You're constantly stressed to death about it, stuff like that. You think you're for sure going to die, or you're worried that somebody else is going to die, somebody in your life. I thought they did a good job like tying that in there. That was a neat thing, and it makes the movie scarier too, because when you're having this kind of anxiety, you can be, especially if it's medical, you can be thinking something is for sure fucking happening to you, and everybody in the world is telling you it's not. And deep down, it's not. And that's kind of how it is with this thing that they're seeing. Like, it's there, they see it, but everybody thinks they're fucking crazy. And it doesn't help that she has a mom who went through the same thing, and they're worried about, it being hereditary and all that stuff like that. So everybody's just a fucking asshole to her. And you can almost get it too when you're seeing it from their point of view. So I thought that was kind of neat, and it adds the whole clinical vibe of the movie. So I think that there is an ongoing theme there. And maybe I'm looking too deep into it, and maybe that's just plain obvious, and to me, that's something astounding, but I just think they did a good job with it. As the movie goes throughout that, there's a couple other scenes. There's a whole lot of investigative stuff, investigative journalism going on throughout this, where they're trying to figure out what's going on. And again, I feel like they spent way too much time on that stuff, because it was like, I think we get it. We if you've seen The Ring, you kind of understand. And then you've got to deal with it, like, I mean, when you saw it in the trailer, when you saw them talking to the dude in prison in the trailer, you kind of got where this was going. The only way to get rid of the curse is if you kill somebody and somebody's watching, and you also have to make it fucking wild. That's why these deaths are so gnarly. And they showed this dude with his teeth all turned up, again reminding me of The Ring, when they found the girl in the beginning of the movie, the jump scare when they opened the door and she was in the corner of the closet like it's like that. It was all pretty simple, and they spent a really long time doing it, which is, I mean, it's a pretty cool concept. It's kind of freaky to think, okay, I can only get rid of this if I murder somebody. And not only that, but I gotta put on a fucking show. I gotta be like Kobe scoring 81. I gotta fuck that person up, or it will not work. So I thought that was interesting. But they didn't really handle that aspect that great, because she drives to the hospital and she has that knife. Is that not the coolest knife you've ever fucking seen? Did anybody see that knife and be like, that is a gorgeous goddamn knife? I want that knife. Not inside of me, no. But that part was weird, because she drives to the hospital, and it would have made sense if, like, in Drag Me to Hell, when she has the button and there's this clear-cut asshole to give it to. But in that scene, it was weird, because she fantasizes about her going and killing that patient, and then, dude, that fucking scene, though, again, when it goes there, when she goes up to that patient and she starts to murder him, it's very uncomfortable, because it is someone who doesn't want to be murdering someone murder someone, which is very awkward anytime you see it. But when she starts to murder that guy, and he's like, yeah! He was basically like Rocky in Rocky 3 when Mr. T was hitting him. He's like, come on, you ain't so bad. You ain't so bad. He was like enjoying it, which that guy did a good job. But, and Cal Penn comes in, and he's like, stop it! And then he rips off his own fucking face. That was gnarly as shit. That was really cool. And they did such a good job with the effects in this. Some of them practical, some of them CG, like obviously the face rip, all done so goddamn well. I don't mind CG when it's done that fucking well. And I think it's mixed in with the practical, and that's what makes it all work. But I just thought the effects in this were goddamn glorious, man. The team that worked on that shit, you guys helped make this whole damn thing work, man. That was amazing work. So kudos to the special effects crew on that one for sure. But it ends up, she goes to this cabin, and there's this whole tie-in to her mom and stuff like that, and the reason why she does what she does, helps people because she couldn't help her mom when she was a kid. Again, the characters were fleshed out nicely, but I would have even sacrificed a tiny bit of that to cut the running time down on this. And I don't think you would have actually had to do that, but this needed to be 20 minutes shorter for it really to reach its potential. And the coolest part of the entire fucking movie, man, was no doubt when her mom grows into the fucking giant googly monster from fucking Mama, or Barbarian. She almost looked like the chick from Barbarian, sort of. But when she grows all fucking huge and has to like crawl herself under the door like fucking Manute Bowl, and then she comes in there, and dude, the face looked awesome. It was so surreal, man. It was like, it's one of those faces that almost looks stupid, because it's so just fucking out there and weird, like the bulging eyes, the yellow skin and shit. It almost looks fake, but it doesn't. It still looks just real enough to meet in this weird between stage of your fucking nightmares. It was so good, man. That was so fucking awesomely made. And the way I'm sure it won't work for some people, but man, did it work for me. Again, another scene, jaw on the fucking floor. I was just going, oh shit, that's cool. And then Not only that, she hangs around for a fucking while, just goddamn googly arming around this fucking cabin and getting in her face and being like, yeah, doing the shit that she was doing. And then eventually, oh my God, that one scene where she fucking rips. She rips. And again, they pan back to Kyle Gallner again, and she thinks she's out of the house. That was a waste too. It was like 10 minutes of nothingness. I didn't get it, where he starts smiling at her and he doesn't do anything. He just runs at her and she's outside the house. Just, again, there's so many things they could cut out of this movie that wouldn't hurt. There's a lot of deleted scenes that should have been there. But anyways, the first fight, I skipped ahead a second. But when she's fighting with this thing and she lights it on fire, dope ass scene. Again, the fire, I'm pretty sure it was CG fire, but you couldn't tell for sure. It looked so good. And not only that, was that thing cool when it wasn't on fire, but you sets it on fire? Hey, there's some shit over there. We gonna light it on fire. When they light that thing on fire, it looks so badass. Like, the way it's running around, it's scary as shit, just flopping around this house on fire. So cool. And then she gets back. She realized that she didn't actually expel her demons. She's back at the fucking house. It's back again. And then it really gets up in her face and gets all freaky deaky. And just chef's kiss, fucking cherry on the sundae. When it rips its fucking face off and it does kind of the same thing Kal Penn did. Holy titty satchels. And then she puts her fucking finger in her mouth hole, not sexually, that'd be gross, and rips her jaw open and then crawls the fuck inside of her. I mean, we've seen that before in horror movies, but it's cool every fucking time when you rip someone's entire mouth open and then crawl inside of them like a fucking Snuggie on Christmas. That was amazing. That was so fucking cool. And it just took the movie over the top for me. Saved the goddamn day. That whole sequence is so badass. I did not expect googly fucking monsters. You expect it with like The Ring or Truth or Dare, or these kind of gimmick horror movies. A lot of the stuff you get, like some gnarly kills and some wild shit like that. But I didn't expect a fucking monster creature film at the end of it. And that was so badass. And again, it also has the whole running themes of mental illness and stuff like that that's going on through it. It's not empty by any means. This film's no empty vessel. Like my cock. I don't know what that actually even means. I like to say like my cock. You know, it's enjoyable for me to do that from time to time. Keep you on balance. Like my cock. I'm going to give Smile a very, very strong 7.5. I thought this was a really good horror movie, and I think everybody who enjoys horror movies at all should go see it. It has the propensity to scare you. It has great jump scares in it. I mean, they grab your ass a couple times with those jump scares. It's loud. It's in your face. The effects are great. And the ending, by the way, the ending's fucking mean as shit, right? I mean, when Kyle Gallner finally gets in the house after the thing fucking crawled inside of her mouth hole, and then she lights herself on fire, and the last shot you see is Kyle Gallner looking, and he can see in his mind's eye her on fire. By the way, that could lead to a sequel. We could see his character come back and front the next movie. That would be kind of neat skis. And yeah, so it's a strong 7.5 for me. I really wish it was a little better paced. Maybe, and that could be a thing that could change. Maybe it was just the day. Maybe I was having an impatient day or whatever, or I knew too much about it, and I've seen too many movies like it before, so I was like, move along now, please. But it gets there. It really does get there. So I definitely recommend it. I loved it. One of the better horror movies of the year. And I love you. And I love your fucking faces. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Woo! Halloween never ends. Suck my fucking dick. And I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not. Yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS, cause Halloween never ends.